Oh, there's some of my books down there I need to grab.
It's like your ramen noodles.
Hello. Hi, guys. Everybody's coming in. That is the puzzle I talked about yesterday that I am almost done. Still working on it, but almost there. Hi, Jessica. Hope you're enjoying the snow. The little bit that we got today. Hi, Karen. Yeah, live is fun. I've been watching a lot of replays today because so many people are scoping. I don't know if it's the cold weather and the Saturday or what's going on, but hi, Becky. Hi, Audria. Thanks for inviting followers. Oh, my background. I do tend to scope in front of these curtains because it's probably the only decorator sort of looking place in my whole house. I actually found these curtains used on a neighborhood website, and I love them. So it's my one little window that looks like somebody takes time to decorate. So I tend to sit in front of it. The rest of the windows don't look like that. I know there's so many scopes today. And Emma, I don't know if Emma's in here, but she did her first one, and I just watched the replay, and it was just so fun to hear her accent, and it's so fun to match voices with people. She's from Australia, so she shared some fun stuff they're doing in their school and some books. So hi, everybody. If you don't know, my name is Mary, and I'm a homeschooling mom of 4. I blog and have a Facebook page for my blog at Not Before 7. And normally I have that written down on a little card. Is it right here? Sorry, guys, I'm slipping out. It is. I started like Julie has with a little spiral. So that's it, notbefore7.com. And all of the books that I'm going to suggest on the scope today, or just tell you that we read, are on the blog in case you need them. So, all right. I'm going to start with one that we actually read last week, and my kids had enjoyed so much, they had disappeared with it during my scope, so I didn't get to say it, but this is one of my favorites because, of course, I was a math teacher, and this is the book Math Curse. I think there's others in this series, though I have not looked that up. This was given to me by my parents when I became a teacher, and this one's really fun. It's about a little guy that goes to math class, and his teacher, Mrs. Fibonacci, says, yeah, I think there's a science one. Okay, there you go. You can think of almost everything as a math problem. And then that's where his problems start. Because everything that he's doing all day becomes a math problem. But it's silly math problems. Like he's looking at this chart that he sees, and all these questions come into his mind. Which month has the most birthdays? Which has the fewest? Why doesn't February have a W? Don't you think this chart sort of looks like a row of buildings? So it's not just all math problems. It's kind of fun with the math. So the kids really like it. And you can solve them, or you can just laugh at them, however you want to do it. In social studies, there's a geography problem. The Mississippi River is about 4,000 kilometers long. An M&M is about 1 centimeter long. There are 100 centimeters in a meter and 1,000 meters in a kilometer. How many M&Ms would it take to measure the length of the Mississippi? And then estimate how many M&Ms you would eat if you had to measure the Mississippi with M&Ms. So it's silly illustrations. It sounds like you guys know about this one. You all know the science version. And it ends with a great pun, which my son just really cracked up on, because to get out of the math curse, they're going over all this chalkboard, all these math problems. He's being sucked into the math curse, and he says that he breaks the chalk in half. Then he puts the 2 halves together. 1 half plus 1 half equals 1 whole, and then he draws the whole and jumps out. So it was kind of a fun little pun there at the ending to jump out. So that is Math Curse. I definitely recommend Math Curse. And apparently there's a science curse, so check that one out too. I think I'll put that on my list to get. Then just a little seasonal one, Grandmother Winter. A lot of these that I pick for my first grader, who sometimes gets neglected. because he has 3 older siblings. And this is just a precious little story about what kind of the animals do during winter, when Grandmother Winter lays the blanket of goose feathers, the winter blanket. So it was a cute little story, Grandmother Winter. And then someone on Periscope, someone here in our Brave Scope group recommended this book, Snowflake Bentley. This is fantastic. I think we all enjoyed this one. This is about a guy in the 20s who actually photographed the individual snowflakes. So it's a true story. And I actually requested from the library one of the books that has his pictures of the snowflakes. So I see you all know that this was new to me. So I was really glad someone had suggested this one. And it has some of the images of his snowflakes in here, but not a whole lot. So it'd be a nice one to get either some images on the internet to look at. There's the actual guy. Or get another one of his books. Our library didn't have a lot, but they did have one. So I'm going to take a look at that with the kids next week and see if it's any good. It hasn't come in yet. Let's see. This one, Christina had recommended, The 7 Silly Eaters. And it was just a silly one. So it was just fun. It's each of the kids only likes to eat one food, and the mom's constantly working herself to death to make them all their individual meals until they create a cake by accident with all their favorite foods, and that's what they start to eat. So again, just a fun one for my first grader that we can enjoy together. All right. We've been doing some history. We're in colonial times. So this Boston Tea Party book, I actually really liked. It was Pamela Duncan Edwards. It's poetry. It's not, the whole thing rhymes. So I don't know that it's technically a poem, but the whole thing rhymes. And it's one of those books that builds on itself. So it keeps repeating the beginning. So it's kind of, if you read the end, you'll get it. These are the patriots who made the plans to dump the cargo being carried in ships to the shores, of the colonists who cried no, to the king on his English throne who declared, tax the tea that was made from the leaves that grew on a bush in a far off land and became part of the Boston Tea Party. So it kind of keeps building on itself. That then you get to the harbor that was stained dark brown like a giant tea prow, and just keeps repeating that grew on a bush in a far off land and became part of the Boston Tea Party. So again, this was definitely for my younger kids, but we can all enjoy it together. My older ones sat through it. And yes, Jessica, I did get this at our library, Boston Tea Party. So not heavy in factual information, just kind of a fun read to go along with where we are in history for my younger guy. And speaking of which, so we had two themes going at our poetry tea time on Tuesday. This one, a revolutionary field trip, is poems of colonial America. And it's kind of by occupation. We didn't read the whole story, but it's kind of like these kids head into colonial America. And then the poems are like Grace Dips a Candle, Anne at the Churn, Cobblestones, What Did Colonial Kids Play? They don't all rhyme, but they were good informational poems. And it was just perfect to incorporate in our poetry tea time. I love whatever we're doing in history to kind of type colonial poems into Amazon and see what comes up, and then see if those books are at the library. So that one came up and it was fun. And while our poetry was historical, our food was based on our study of South America that we are doing this month. So I got this little book from the library called Cooking the Brazilian Way. And the actual meals were a little intense, but in the back there's a section on dessert, and we made the cornstarch cookies, which were good. I don't think I'll make them again. My daughter's yelling from the other room that she liked them. They weren't my thing, but there was a recipe in here for fresh limeade, and I actually shared it on a Periscope. It was fantastic. So if this is at your library, the limeade recipe, fabulous. And that's what we had for tea time. So because we're studying South America, we also read this series, which I shared on the Global Citizens, a family from Brazil. And they have these books for several countries. And it's an interview with this family, basically. And they put that's a good question, Chantel. If I forget, remind me. They put all of their belongings out in front of their home, and then the book kind of goes through what their life looks like. It's not necessarily a poor family. In fact, this family's pretty middle class in Brazil. They own a car, which is considered a small percentage of the population does that. So it was just nice to see a typical day of a family in Brazil and what they do and what things look like. I'm not using a curriculum for my international studies. I just picked a continent to study, and I'm just getting books from the library, and we did a big map. And some of that information is actually on my blog. About 2 days ago, I put up how we're approaching geography each month. So these are just some of the books we got. This is one of the atlases I added this week. I actually prefer my National Geographic atlases for physical geography and the way they break down the regions. But this one has information like about the Amazon and about the Andes Mountains, and Machu Picchu was in here for South America. So I just read the information about South America and some of the topics from this atlas. It's a good one. You can't have too many atlases, I guess, when you're homeschooling. All right, and my last book for the morning bin, these are great series if you haven't read them. David Adler, again, you hear the focus of the morning bin is really my younger guy. A picture book of George Washington, and there's a picture book of several famous people. There's a ton in this series, and they're just simple. They have good information, and they're interesting enough that everybody else listens along and remembers what's being talked about. What I'm missing here that's in my morning basket is we also have been reading, we started a new chapter book because our Arrow book was Love That Dog. We started the Childhood of Famous Americans series, and we started George Washington. So I can grab that if you all don't know what I'm talking about, but it's a great series. It's called Childhood of Famous Americans, and it has Martha Washington, George Washington, has baseball players, scientists, all kinds of people. And the book is nonfiction, kind of biographical about their childhood specifically. So it'll kind of end when I think George and Martha meet and get married, and maybe give you a little bit about that. But the focus is on who he was as a kid. So it's kind of fun. They're easy reads. So there you go. Somebody put it in there. If you type that in Amazon, you'll get 1 million of them. And what else? That was pretty much it for my morning bin. We did continue with another Pout Pout Fish book. Christina also recommended these. My 6-year-old really likes these. So actually he and I read this one alone because he's really enjoying these. Hi, Kim. Good to see you live. And these are fun. There's a whole bunch of these. They're board books at my library, but not at everybody's. So my little guy is really enjoying those. And then I was going to say another one. This is actually, it's kind of funny. We're reading this in winter. This is one of my favorites, but it's really a spring book. It's about the spring peepers. Yay, Kim's here. It's about a little boy and his dad who go on this little night walk to hear the spring peepers down at the lake. And it's just really sweet. And his dad is just wonderful, and he hops like a frog with his son. And when they get back to the house, one of the peepers is in the boy's slipper. And it's actually more of a spring book. So here in the middle of this ice and snowstorm, my 6-year-old and I curled up to read Peeping and Sleeping. Very good one. Put it on a list for springtime. And then I just thought I really liked Alicia today, did a scope and was sharing all of her older kids' books and what they were doing. So I thought I would mention a few being read in this house. This is Aerith's birthday. Oh my goodness. If you have not read the Poppy series, you need to get your hands on the book Poppy. That actually kind of kicks off the series. And then you can read Ragweed, which is the sequel. And then there's Poppy and Rye. And now we're on to Aerith's birthday. These are hysterical, and Aerith was hands down the best character. We liked him in this house. And my husband is actually reading these to my boys at night because the boys have begged to finish the series. So that was really fun to me that they have enjoyed it so much. Definitely check out Poppy, and the author is Avi. I think that's how you say it. Avi. look up the order of the books. Do not start with Ragweed, or it will make Poppy very hard in the first chapter. Start with Poppy and then read the prequel Ragweed, is my personal suggestion. But you can do it however you like. And then I was also going to show, this is my 7th grader's favorite series. I borrowed this from your room, Kaylee. This is The Tale of Emily Winsnap. There are 7 books, I think, in this series. 6, she's telling me. There are 6 books in the series, and she adores them. So the set was actually her Christmas present because she loves them so much. So, okay, Kim's daughter loves these too. Okay, lots of people. So I have not read them. I can't tell you anything from personal experience. She says there's nothing bad in there. There's some romance, you know, little girl-boy stuff, but she said nothing was inappropriate. So, Amy's going to be on the Read Aloud Revival author event. That's great to know, Chantel. I've just started getting into those podcasts, so that is very exciting. And then, what am I reading? Our Boomerang book. So we do Brave Writer. We follow the yearly Arrow and Boomerang, and we do a book club with them. I think order does matter for these. Kaylee, with The Tale of Emily Winsnap, does the order matter?
Yes.
Yeah. The story builds on itself for these. So this definitely, the order matters. This is the first one. And then there are a bunch of others that when you look it up, you can get the order. I often look on Wikipedia when I need the order of a series. I was on there today. When Alicia was talking about Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and I don't think my 3rd grade sons read them, and I think he would find them hysterical. But I had to go to Wikipedia to get the order because there are so many of them now. Oh my gosh, that series just took off. So I am reading, of course, the classic, Anne of Green Gables. I have not read this. Jessica, it's called Read Aloud Revival. I have not read Anne of Green Gables since I was in middle school, and I am having a blast reading this again. So that's my reading right now to keep up with my daughter, and our Boomerang book club will be Friday night, and I will scope it because I am the one hosting this. Yes, and with an E. I am the one hosting this one, and I'm sure we will have a tea party, and I am fairly certain there will be cherry cordial. That's all I know right now. So that was everything today, ladies. That's what we've been reading, and I've been enjoying everyone's scopes. We're going to get to eating some chili here in the cold weather, and I hope more of you will take the plunge and share with us. I love to sit in front of these scopes with my library tab just open and request books. I've gotten so many of the ones I'm sharing here came from this. So, oh, well, welcome, Little Schoolhouse. If you want to put your name in the comments, that's always helpful. You know, Kim, I would love, like most homeschooling moms, to say that they are. And they do like me reading to them. No one complains about that. But I really don't have anyone who I would consider a big lover of reading, like absorbing everything out there. My kids do get hooked on a series, like my daughter, this Emily Winsnap series. I swear she's read it like 50 times. But not really interested in challenging herself with anything outside of that. So I know a lot of her friends will just absorb everything the library offers. And I don't really have that. Mine pretty much read what I assign. And if I don't assign anything, they're content to just let me read. So it's nice seeing a few of you. I feel like as a homeschooling mom, that's almost like a scarlet letter or something. I don't know. Like, my kids don't love to read. So it's nice to know I'm not the only one who sometimes feels a little bit of that in the house. So it's just the truth here. Yeah, a bunch of you know. And you know, but they can read, and they do read when I ask them to. And when they love a topic, they read it. So I have confidence that they will be able to carry on in life. It's hard for me to understand because I love to read. I mean, I did that Facebook quiz going around where there's a list of questions to ask your kids. And one of the questions you ask them is, what do I like? They're supposed to be answering it about mommy. And all of my kids said to read, because that's what mommy likes. So it's really hard for me to relate to kids who don't want to just sit around all day reading a great story. It's what I would do nonstop. But I don't stress about them. I don't try to make them be someone they're not. They are who they are. So, oh my gosh, Kim, that's hysterical. Oh, don't you love what they notice about you? That's awesome. So hi, Amy. Thanks for tuning in. I'm actually set to get off here now. I just shared some books, and I suspect some of the titles may have come from you. I knew some came from Christina, but I know Amy does great scopes with books, so she's another great one to follow if you're wanting to do book titles. I grab a lot of hers. So Amy, if you put a few smiley faces out there, people will know who I'm talking about. And if they're not following you, then they can do that. So I'm probably going to get back to watching a ton of replays today. You all are filling my day with some great scopes. So thank you for sharing, and that's all right. It happens. I do it all the time. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Oh, you know what? And freeze on something else. My messy